Yes, yes. Jackson, I want to make this clear. And I want you to listen. And I want you to listen good. I want this one today.
Yep.
We haven't had a balloon party since last Wednesday. A lot has taken place since then. And I know you have a series of questions that's going to tend to it all here on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. And you can participate in the discussion both there and the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Get involved on the program, and Jackson Burkett will allow you to participate in our discourse.
Always. Yeah. I'm always open to discussion.
What was the highlight of your 4th of July weekend as a guy who isn't real high on America?
Wow. I'm just being baited into these things.
Trying to define who you are for the audience.
Well, you can find out more about my thoughts on this great union later today. But 4th of July, the actual day, Thursday.
You go to the lake on Wednesday or Thursday?
I perpetually, it's just like when I get off work and it's like, I got to get to the lake. But missed it this weekend, unfortunately. But on Thursday, the 4th of July, it was supposed to be like bad weather all day.
Yeah.
Ended up being like a pretty gorgeous day.
Wasn't terrible, yeah.
Yeah, so they moved a bunch of the fireworks stuff around, but...
That's right.
Yeah, a bunch of the shows I think the one in Kirkwood got pushed to the next day.
That's correct.
The one in Webster, too.
That message came out on Wednesday night, and I actually said to my wife, I said, I think that's a little early call.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's a little early call. I think
Proof is in
that's
the pudding.
Dan Rather, 2000. Very obscure reference, but I bet 90% of our audience got it.
Yeah.
A little early on that call.
Yeah.
And I bet they wish they had that putt back.
Yeah, definitely, because then that overnight on the 5th, the morning of the 5th, it poured like 3 inches in some places. Crazy. But on the actual day of the 4th, me and my girlfriend just grilled some food on the Weber kettle and enjoyed the nice weather and just hung out with each other's company. And it was really...
What did you grill? What did you put on your griddle?
Hot deedles, hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
Yeah. So I, did the whole...
Well, she had to be impressed.
Yeah, the whole to-do of making, lighting the coals and getting it all ready for something that could have been put in the microwave for 35 seconds.
Right,
but to be fair, you get some grill marks going. They do taste better on the Weber kettle. And I thought on the 4th of July I'm going to do some cooking.
You're a Weber kettle guy.
Oh, absolutely.
You're a meat and potatoes guy after all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You ever cook hot dogs indirect?
I doubt you cooked hot dogs indirect.
Yeah, just to get the seasoning. Wow, I don't know. I cooked
Did you
them.
really?
I cooked them for 5 minutes and they looked good, and I said, all right.
Indirect? You went indirect?
A little indirect, a little direct.
I'm starting to wonder if you know what indirect and direct means.
Yeah, you put the coals on one side of the grill and then you put the meat on the other.
Right.
Indirect.
Okay.
Slower cook.
All right.
More flavors.
And she liked it. And she said,
Yeah.
oh, Jackson, you're even better now that I know you can grill hot dogs.
Yeah.
Indirect.
Yep. Well, lighting the coals, once I got that done, I really felt like a little champion.
That could be a challenge for you.
Well, it could be a challenge for some,
Really?
The people who are impatient. If you're impatient, you're pouring...
Well, I mean, you got the little fire starter. You got your little chimney, shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
Set that thing. Maybe within 5 to 10 minutes, the coals are hot. We dump them on the other coals. And then we put, because I have a Weber kettle too, but I'm a meat and potatoes guy.
Yeah.
And then I get that temperature to the appropriate temperature, then off we go. Last night I was grilling burgers for the family.
Yeah, that you do direct.
I got to tell you, I was over at my parents' house yesterday morning with my boys. South Side Dirty, Tam Avenue, Capital Partners. What? And I said, oh, my wife is out at Smokehouse getting burgers for a little 4th of July grilling party.
Yeah, soiree.
And my dad goes, oh, Timmy, those are some of the best in the area. Got to try that indirect.
Oh, indirect on burgers.
And because they're thick.
Ah, I feel that.
They're thick. They're Ella Reese thick.
Yeah, 2 C's, maybe
And
3.
Might be 3. And I said, all right, this guy's been barbecuing for decades. He knows his stuff. I'll take my chances here with these burgers.
Yeah.
And my goodness, was he right once again.
Good tasting.
That's the move.
Yeah.
Can't do that with like a thin burger.
No.
But with a thick burger, all day long. And it was the right move. 15 minutes on each side.
I respect
30
that.
minutes.
Yeah.
I said to my family, this will be worth the wait.
Yeah.
And it was.
Now, here's a real meat and potatoes question for you.
Sure, I
Last
answer
thing
those
I'll
kinds of questions. I can't relate to Ledoux. I don't know what that is.
Right. So my question is, you reusing coals there, brother?
I have some that are reused, but with my own bare hands as a manual labor guy,
That's right.
I was cleaning out that pit. Now, I had little gloves on and a mask,
Timmy Blue Collar.
but I swept that out just like Dick Van Dyke, chimney sweep.
Yeah.
And it was ready to go. And man, were they choice.
Yeah. I respect it.
I had an extra one, and I said, I think I could put this down.
Oh, a double shoot?
Yeah, but I held off.
If you go no bun on the second burger, you're probably okay. Then you're just getting straight protein. It's like a Salisbury steak.
Yeah.
Meat and potatoes
But I
guy.
held off, so now I got that to look forward to tonight. Although as I look outside, it is storming like the dickens here. Is this the front of Hurricane Beryl? That's got to still be way down south. It just made landfall this morning, but I knew we were going to get hit by that hurricane.
I think we're going to get some remnants. I think there's going to be some serious
and you have
remnants.
the St. Louis Country Club member guest this weekend, so is this going to mess you guys up?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Maybe Log and Bogey will open up the course and let us do it there. If there's too much standing water at, obviously, St. Louis.
Right. That par 3 green accumulates on that second tier.
Right. And so you got to keep, respect the course, respect the game, really, grow the game. And so we'll see. But, But on the 4th of July, I had a lovely time, just me and my girlfriend hanging out. And it felt like a little slice of America.
Look at you.
Yeah, it was great. Did you have a lovely 4th of July weekend?
I did. We did some dining, Chavez and Soulard on Wednesday. With the family, of course, on Thursday. Went to another restaurant on Friday. This was what you got me for, I guess you got it for me for St. Patrick's Day. Gift certificate to Casa Don Alfonso at the Ritz.
Yeah.
Which I could never.
I put in a good word for you.
Yeah, and so that was able to get us a table. We ate at 3 in the afternoon, but they go, you're from 63109, 3 o'clock work, 3 o'clock or midnight. Those are
the only options.
And you'll have to sit and
I got this, of course, for you for St. Patrick's Day.
with the valet. Yeah. Saturday, we went to the Webster Groves Carnival.
Yeah, that looked like I used to go to that as a kid. I used to live in Webster as a kid.
Took the boys there.
A lot of fun. Great memories from that.
And then picked up food from Parkmore.
Never been. Right
next to Olive and Oak.
Okay.
And then I barbecued the smokehouse burger. So I had a feast.
Yeah, you were eating good.
Here I am, still tiny as the day I was born.
Yeah, lithe even.
Yeah, lithe.
Well, I'm glad. It was a fun 4th of July.
Great. I mean, having the 4th of July on a Thursday is optimal because then you got the 4-day weekend.
I think it's the best way. I think it's because if you have it Monday, you get Monday off, obviously, but then you give Tuesday off, and now people are starting a week on a Wednesday. That's funky. Thursday is perfect. Get Thursday off. Hopefully your company gives you Friday off. Hubbard was kind enough to do so. And you have a lovely 4-day weekend. You can use that Wednesday to travel, whether it be the lake, whether it be the Hamptons,
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't go to the Hamptons.
Right.
You were at the white party, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, me and Ruben have always been tight.
Nice.
But, the last few years have been tough, but I'm glad to see him back. So, yeah, I was at the white party, me and Tom Brady and Lil Baby just hanging out.
Nice.
Yeah. I didn't look weird at all.
No.
Everyone's like, oh, yeah, there's Jackson.
All right, your thoughts, 314-399-9646 and the YouTube chat. They're discussing burgers. Culver's is good, but not outdoor smoker grill good. It's from John Fitzgerald.
Yeah, that's the key. That charcoal flavor, man. I'm probably getting roasted, no pun intended, by grill guys because I've talked about grilling hot dogs.
Indirect, no less.
But again, I'm not claiming that I was some sort of specialist out there. I just grilled some hot dogs.
I have to tell you, with my father telling me to cook those things indirect, because they're such quality burgers.
Yeah.
Annie Gunn Smokehouse.
Right.
That I feel pressure to make sure I perform.
Yeah.
Because my wife knows that these are good burgers.
Yeah.
So only the chef can F them up.
The chef being you.
That's right. And I've always cooked them direct, but then the outside is getting burnt up.
Char, yeah.
And then the inside, it's just not done.
Yeah, good for smash burgers, not great for a thicker steak.
So when my dad said, hey, you got to cook those indirect, I go, oh my God, I think he's probably right. Then I do that last night. And look at me.
Yeah, look at
now
you.
all of a sudden, I'm the belle of the ball.
Yeah, little Gordon Ramsay over there.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. All right, Jackson's got his weekend wrap-up questions coming your way. Potpourri of topics on the horizon here on Balloon Party. This is 101 ESPN. Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota, presenting sponsor of Balloon Party on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel, and the place that I go, my entire family goes to get our cars, and we recommend you go as well. Online at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com. If you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle, go shopping with Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. And you might be like, there's Munganess all over the place, and there are. But the two that we talk about, they're actual sponsors of this show, Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. And they've got a deal specific for our audience on TMA that we carry over to Balloon Party, and that is the following. No money down, $589 a month, 48-month lease on a brand new 2024 Acura MDX Premium. That is an unbelievable deal. But that's what they're offering at Munganess, stlouisacura.com, and altontoyota.com, presenting sponsor of Balloon Party. Back to Balloon Party 101 ESPN. My name's Tim McKernan. That's Jackson Burkett. And Jackson has a weekend wrap-up series of questions here as the Cardinals are going to try and make it 3 out of 4 in Washington with a rare Monday day game. Do you know what this is about?
I have no idea. I know that the Cardinals are like in desperate need of making up games, like playing games. Like if you look at their record compared to some other teams, like they've played like 4 or less games against teams. So I know they have to do some making up, hence the doubleheader Saturday against the Cubs, which was the famous Miles Michaelis is going to just toss it around in the bullpen while Imanaga actually throws a warm-up. Coming back to that. But I don't know what the deal is with the Monday day game, continuing a series from the weekend.
I haven't seen... This used to be somewhat commonplace when I was a kid, but not necessarily a Monday day game. I mean, there's no attendance in Washington as it is.
Yeah.
But this will really be scarce today.
Yeah, super scarce. This is going to be...
And then even the Cardinal fans who may have made a little weekend trip.
Yeah, to our nation's capital for 4th of July.
Amen. I can't imagine them sticking around for this. Cardinals then have 2 at the Royals, off day, and then 4 with the Cubs, doubleheader on Saturday, and then the All-Star break.
Yeah.
5 back of the Brewers. as, to me, the headline of the weekend. And it also, I think it kind of goes back to Pittsburgh as well, is Nolan Arenado, because that's what's going to matter. I mean, if that gets going.
Yeah, even if it's just base hits.
And I've kind of gone, okay, crap, Arenado's up, which is just so messed up to think. I mean, if we would have been saying that 2 years ago when he was en route to finishing third in the MVP race, that if you have that, Contreras raking, Gorman getting it going as well, then that just gives you a totally different perspective on the lineup.
Yeah. So
it changes it so substantially. If Arenado does something that he's done relatively recently, that was to me my biggest takeaway from the weekend. I mean, they had a week that could have been bad with regard to close games. They got the breaks, and on top of that, you got Arenado hitting. Hey, man, that's huge. That, to me, if you can get that going, that changes what the ceiling is for the team. I just don't know if it's sustainable, if this was a one-off, but I thought that the swing was starting to look different in Pittsburgh, and then it carried over, but with results so far in the 4-game series that'll conclude this afternoon in Washington.
By the way, just a brief aside.
This is going to be on the Celtics, isn't it?
No, did you see what the Nationals wore yesterday?
Yes.
Brutal.
I had a feeling when you saw that you were going to have a take.
Brutal. All Washington sports teams are just absolute whiff on the uniforms. All of them whiff.
Well, the Washington football team Commanders
always have been bad. Always the red and yellow is a bad.
But everybody else is going red, white, and blue in some capacity.
Yes, but it doesn't work. The Capitals have bad uniforms. The Wizards have really bad uniforms, and the Nationals they've gotten close to getting it right. But that thing they wore yesterday was not it. Those were softball uniforms.
Softball uniforms on a Sunday. I imagine they'll trot something else out today.
Would assume they'll go back,
3,000 people
to their classic uniforms there. Well, they just click. Nothing? Okay, we're good. I thought I just made a mistake. All right, let's get into it. Ben Fred wrote a column over our extended break that I found to be inevitable. He was discussing that the national and local fodder for the next few weeks will be, should the Cardinals consider moving Jordan Walker if they want to be true buyers at the deadline?
You thought that this column was inevitable. That's interesting. Yeah. When I read it, I was very surprised by it. I don't think it's outlandish, for the record. Jackson's talking about a column. I cut you off.
That's all right.
That's who I am. But Ben Frederickson, who I am personally a big fan of. Yeah. So anytime you got to do the media disclaimer thing, well, you don't have to, but I do, just on the off chance people, is he taking a shot? Is there something wrong? The only way I can have a problem with somebody in the media is if they somehow wind up in my basement, because otherwise that's where they're going to find me.
That's your dojo.
That's where I am. But I'm a big fan of Ben personally. Sometimes I'll disagree with things he writes, but I don't, then excoriate him. But I wasn't. But then as I read the column, I thought, you know what? It's something that does make sense as far as the topic of the Cardinals trading Jordan Walker. Now, I personally would be against it. My reason being, but I think I need to update my perspective on what a good baseball team is, because a good baseball team now, I guess, is just being around and then getting in the tournament.
That's an interesting topic right there, is changing what the criteria is.
Because if you are, I would imagine, certainly for those of you who are in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, this really has to blow your mind. But it's getting in the tournament. And the teams that have success in the tournament now, which sucks to me, as I've said probably every show for the last couple of years, how much I dislike the format. But either way, the teams that run deep in the tournament, taking out the fact that they've been the 6th seed both year for the National League, tend to have a two-headed monster in the starting rotation, because that's so, I think, imperative for what the format is. And so, how does this tie back into Ben's column, your question on Jordan Walker? I think the only player in the organization who, and I want to include this, who the Cardinals would be comfortable with, as comfortable as you can be in an uncomfortable state, comfortable with trading that could get them somebody who could be I guess the pairing to Sonny Gray, who obviously has a low floor himself when it's not working, is Jordan Walker. I just don't think realistically they're going to trade anybody else who could get you a 1 or 2 in return. Now, who that would be at this moment, I don't know. Like Luzardo, I think, was kind of the guy that was, this is before he got hurt, of course. Mm-hmm. Everybody had circled. He's going to be the guy who's going to move at the deadline. Somebody's going to get a haul. Then he gets hurt. He's out of the mix. Sure. So then who does it become? And you're obviously competing with some big boys when you go that way. But Jordan Walker, if they were willing to do that, could get you that caliber of pitcher. Ken Rosenthal, I believe it was Ken Rosenthal, writing that the Cardinals are interested in trading Ivan Herrera and Dylan Carlson. Okay, I don't necessarily think that's groundbreaking. That's just kind of logical. But the response to that is, well, what are you really going to get for those guys at this point?
Right.
I mean, one guy, his stock has never been lower in Carlson, and the other guy, by definition, plays catcher. But it's a base stealing festival when he's there. So that's not going to get you the guy that you can pair with Sonny Gray in the playoffs and go, okay, we've got our Wheeler-Nola duo. Walker could. And that's where it gets back into the question of how you view the postseason. From my standpoint, this is a fine team, an 83 to 85 winish team. Do they strike me as a team that when I think of great Cardinal teams, being a great Cardinal team, not even close.
Right.
But when I'm thinking of great Cardinal teams, I'm thinking of the days of the National League East and 4 teams getting in 85 and 87 in particular. I was a little too young for 82, but I remember a little bit about it. And then all those great teams from the 2000s when 6 teams weren't getting in, and you were a series win away from playing for the pennant. Now you have these different steps, and barring a surprise, the winner of the National League Central is likely going to be playing the 6th seed in the National League, which has been problematic for the winner of the National League Central each of the last 2 years. Cardinals and Phillies in 2022, and the Brewers losing last year to the Diamondbacks. So with that all established, does your perspective as an organization change because you go, well, we know we're not up there with whoever you consider to be the great teams, but the great teams aren't the ones that are winning the National League. It's the teams that just get in and tend to have a 1-2 punch that can eat you up.
Yeah.
And so if that's the mindset of the Cardinals, and if they also factor in Goldschmidt and Arenado, then perhaps they would go that route. I personally, because I can't get there that this team can, do it. And of course they can, but then to sacrifice Jordan Walker for this shot, I just am not good with it. I'm just not good with it.
Yeah.
I'm just not good with that. I would be really surprised if they did it.
I would too.
You would be too?
I'm so vehemently against it. Like,
okay, you're vehemently
I feel like I could be because I'm so against it, am I missing something?
It's just, the reason why I think it's in play is I think it's the only, if it is in play, sure. The reason why it would be in play is it's realistically, now you can say, well, they have other prospects, and they do, but if they internally go, it isn't going to happen. And for example, the trade that I love the most that the Cardinals have made in the last decade is trading Alan Craig away. Mm-hmm. But again, the reason why I loved that trade was it wasn't necessarily what the Cardinals got. They got John Lackey, to refresh people's memory from a decade ago. It was because they were unloading an asset that in their minds they knew was dead money and declining, and got something in return. And really the biggest name in that deal actually became Joe Kelly, who was at the time the least glamorous name. Mm-hmm. So if you have an asset that has value publicly, but internally you view as having incredibly steep declining value, then you get something for it.
Yeah.
And hey, I listened to John Mozeliak with Tom Ackerman yesterday, and he wasn't even I thought, okay, I hear Tom's asking the question about Jordan Walker, And I figure I could already hear the pitch in Mizalak's voice. Well, you got to. But it was pretty, it's performance. And he's got to perform. Mm-hmm. So it's not really political anymore. So then I wonder, okay, if internally they're going, this just isn't going to happen, and he's the one guy we have who, number one, we can get something for, a real asset, and number two, we can unload him, then perhaps that's where they are. For me, and the main reason being, and perhaps this is unfair, seeing how many players, both young and older, who have left the organization and then started having all-star caliber or literally all-star seasons. And to do that with a guy who is as young as he is, that scares the hell out of me for a team that I don't think is a pitcher away from being a championship contender. But that's what brings me back to what is a championship contender in 2024? Because to me, it used to be you got to win close to 95 games at a minimum to win your division, with a handful of exceptions, and I'm talking about the 4-division system that I grew up with, and then eventually the National League Central. Or you got to be the wild card, which means you got to be a 90-plus win team. And now that's not necessarily even close to what it takes to get into the playoffs. And so if the mindset is, we know we can get in, we already feel like we can get in with what we got, but imagine if we have this starter, right, who Jordan Walker is going to get us, and this starter is under control. Yeah. And potentially take your pick of, I don't know if it's a right-handed bat that isn't necessarily like a star right-handed bat, but somebody who can come off the bench and be an asset, which has been an issue. I do wonder then. Okay. I personally, but again, I think I'm viewing it through a different lens that perhaps I'm like the guy who maybe was a college football fan in the 70s and 80s and used to go, man, they went to a bowl. That was a great year because going to a bowl was a big deal. And I sit here on this show and on TMA and on my podcast and go, well, they won the division in 2022. That wasn't long ago. Nope. But it's winning the division doesn't carry the equity with the fan base that it did when I was growing up and even in the 1990s and 2000s, because winning the division, if it isn't the 1 or 2 seed, it doesn't really get you anything, but the same thing as the 4, 5, and 6s, which is a best-of-3 series. Now, you get the home games, but what does that really get you? Right. As we've seen here in St. Louis and last year in Milwaukee with the Central winner. I just don't know if that's more of an outlier or if that's actually indicative of what the trend is. I see what you're saying. Now, don't get me wrong. The Cardinals could theoretically get that bye, but as we've seen, the bye hasn't necessarily proven to be a reward either. No. Yeah, ask who's the manager of the Braves talking about that, how a week off in baseball. Talked about that. Yeah, it could be brutal. We saw it with the Tigers in 06. A week off of baseball can be brutal. So that's why it's like, God, this is essentially the bet. Right. Jordan Walker for winning 2 out of 3 against whoever the hell it is. Right. It could be the Brewers. Yeah. It could be the Braves. Or maybe doing it gets you to that 1 or 2 spot. Highly unlikely the 1 with what the Phillies are doing. Yeah. Brewers and Dodgers played this weekend. Brewers won yesterday. But do you think the Cardinals catch those 2 teams, get the bye, and is that enough for you to justify parting ways with Jordan Walker? Yeah. I liked the question. I liked the column. I thought it was a thought-provoking column. And that's the thing. It's like, in my mind, if this were the 1980s with the NL East and NL West, it's like an instant no. Mm-hmm. But the reality of what we've seen get to the World Series from the National League are not the teams that strike you as being deadly. There's a bit of a formula to it. Zach Gallen, obviously, of the Diamondbacks, but then Nola and Wheeler 2 years ago that got the Cardinals and got them to the World Series. So I wonder if that's the thought process. I wonder if that's and then I also wonder if the organization goes, we know we're losing the fan base. We know we're losing the fan base. So maybe there's more pressure this year than previous years. Your thoughts on it? 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line number, and then the YouTube chat. Looking forward to reading the responses to the conversation in our commercial break. This is 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Auto Plex. The Cardinals win yesterday, defeating the Washington Nationals 8-3. The final score. The Cardinals will play again today against the Nationals. 3:05 first pitch. The Royals come to town tomorrow for an I-70 battle. That game tomorrow against the Royals starts at 6:45 p.m. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you for another 20 minutes here on Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Jackson, 132 people are in there talking it over right now in the YouTube chat. And then the Air Comfort Service text line is active as well here on the Jordan Walker trade column conversation, spurred by Ben Frederickson of the Post-Dispatch in his column over the 4-day weekend. People talking about Jordan Walker. Justin here, I feel like no matter what the front office does for the Cardinals, they will not be able to do anything in the playoffs. That's from Justin in the 314. I personally would like for the Cardinals to trade Ryan Helsley because I don't believe they will pay him what he'll be owed after the season. They should be able to get a haul for him. That's from the 636. I'd be shocked if the Cardinals are in around the position they're in right now come the end of the month if they're trading Ryan Helsley.
Which would you say is more likely if their stock continues on the same trajectory it's been over the last month and a half? More likely to trade Helsley or more likely to trade Walker?
Walker.
Interesting. I would go Helsley on that.
I say this with the utmost due respect, which I think changes it once I say utmost due respect.
Because I know what's coming here is about to be a hellfire of disagreement.
No, I bet there's some people who agree with you.
Yeah.
I think perhaps when I lay out the set of circumstances that you'll see where I'm coming from. Maybe you still disagree. I think we're both on the same page that the team is an average or above average team. But if the Cardinals are 5 games back of the Brewers and either in the first or second wild card spot, which would be the trajectory that they've been on dating back to the date that is oftentimes cited, May 12th, with the record that they've had since then, and it's deadline day, and people are listening to 101 ESPN, or they're able to watch MLB Network and the trade deadline coverage, and the Cardinals trade Ryan Helsley as parting ways with their all-star, who has been, my God,
solid.
Rock solid is almost like an understatement for how good he has been. All hell would break loose here. And I would actually tell you all hell would break loose in the clubhouse too.
You think?
Yes. I think one of the things, and we talked a little bit about this, I think perhaps going back to the first series against the Dodgers when Michaelis kind of popped off with the checkbook thing, that there is a chip on the shoulder of this team. And I feel like I almost hate even saying that because it's just the ultimate cliche in sports. To the point, I know on TMA in particular, we've joked about Kirby Smart when they won the national championship, saying nobody thought we could be here. And we're like, you've been number one all year. Everybody thought exactly
Travis Kelce.
This. So it becomes, and I get it. You want to fire people up, find something to get them going. But it's overplayed. With this team, I actually do think it's there, but because you hear it so often, it's like the boy who cried wolf. You don't take it seriously. It's not from the Cardinals. But whether it be Michaelis or Goldschmidt telling the story of how he talked to Adam Wainwright when he was calling a game and saying, we're going to win the Central, I just feel like there's a little something there.
Something to prove.
Yeah, I do think there's a little,
especially after last year,
STP going on.
No doubt, yeah.
I really do think that that's the case.
I'm with you there.
So you saw the Brewers fall apart when they traded Hader.
Yeah.
I just think that would be, I'd be shocked
and that
if they traded
sense.
Helsley. Now, if they fall off and they're on the outside looking into the wild card and they're 8+ back of the Brewers when the deadline rolls around, then it's a different conversation. And I realize that's not really all that far to go. I mean, it's 3 games from where they are here as we sit on July 8th. But I look at it and I just don't think that that is something that they would do, even though I think long-term it might behoove them. I don't think that they would go that direction now. And so, again, I'm not saying it's likely that they trade Walker. I would just say because of what I think the circumstance would be, it would actually be less likely that they would trade Helsley.
Yeah.
So there's my
respect.
There is my reasoning. Jackson, what next question do you have here?
Sure, Tim.
What are you going with? I think it's Missouri recruiting.
Yeah, that is where I am going here for you, Tim. Coach Eli Drinkwitz continues to make waves on the recruiting trail, and the tides are reaching further out with each passing day. 3 4-star commits for the class of 2025 over the last few days have people talking, and combined with his on-field product last year, as scholars and great thinkers would say, there's a little buzz. We have talked about the increased interest in MIZ football ever since Harrison Mevis kicked it 61 yards over 2 number 8 jerseys of Kansas State last year. But what's the next step for Missouri to not only cast a wider net and keep people interested, but sustain it year in and year out?
Wow. You took that and really ran with it. Yeah, what happened this weekend, this is the observation I've made. I've actually made it privately more so than publicly. In my lifetime, I have not seen non-Missouri students, alumni as fired up for a season as people are around here, which is customary in the SEC, because I think in St. Louis, and I can't speak to Kansas City, but I think in St. Louis, you're a Missouri fan if you went to Missouri or if you have family members who are going there or went there. But in the SEC as a whole, if you're from South Carolina, you're a Gamecocks fan.
Yeah.
Good chance, not 100%, but good chance that if you're from Georgia, that you're a Bulldogs fan.
Right.
You've got the chance of going to another school and Georgia Tech factoring in. Actually, there's some Auburn fans in Georgia. But, in Alabama, you're either one or the other.
Right.
And so on and so forth. In Florida, you're not necessarily a Florida fan because you got Florida State, you got Miami, but Northern Florida, certainly better chance of being a Gators fan than Southern Florida, but plenty of people from South Florida go to Gainesville for school. Tennessee, it's Rocky Top.
You better believe
Kentucky, Big Blue Nation, so on and so forth. So with that all established, Missouri has been on the outside looking in of that kind of culture. And 2007, the team was number 1 in the country for a week and a win away from playing for the national championship. 2013, they were a win away from playing for the national championship, and they were playing in the SEC championship. So you would think in 2008 and 2014, there'd be incredible anticipation, and there really was in 2008. I don't think there was as much in 2014. But for whatever reason, this is the team, this is the coach, this is the recruiting that has got people more on board that aren't necessarily Missouri alums or parents of students who go to Missouri. And so, because of that, the continued momentum that has taken place in particular over this weekend, but as a whole with recruiting, when Missouri is getting a 4-star offensive lineman out of Texas, not out of St. Louis or Kansas City or another city in the state of Missouri, but out of Texas, who had offers from Texas, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. And Missouri's getting him. In addition to all these receivers that they continue to stockpile, that's foreign. And that's foreign even 3 years ago. So what Missouri has right now is the opportunity, once again, with a favorable schedule to start the season, to go into College Station undefeated. I would say that's 75% likelihood, and that might be low.
Yeah, that's
because you're talking Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Off week, then you go to College Station. I believe that's how the schedule sets up.
And off to Amherst.
And then off to Amherst, naturally, for UMass, and then back to Columbia for Auburn, to Tuscaloosa, and then at home against Oklahoma.
Right.
If you can get through that, through the Oklahoma game with 1 loss,
all bets are off, baby.
At that point, I would consider it likely that you're going to Atlanta for the SEC championship.
Yeah.
Now, you still have to win in Columbia, South Carolina. You still have to win in Starkville, Mississippi, and you still have Arkansas coming to Columbia. And you don't know, and I want to reemphasize this point over and over and over and over again, because we'll talk a lot of college football, because now people are into it.
Yeah.
When I was talking in 2022 on this station in particular, it was like, and I don't blame you, by the way. Both, Missouri and Illinois were kind of blah.
Yeah.
2023 got them on board. I actually think it was the combination of the LSU loss and the Georgia loss that really got like, oh, crap, they can hang with these teams, much less than beating the hell out of Tennessee, the thrilling win against Florida. I personally don't value the Ohio State win as much as I think a lot of Missouri fans do, and I think that's like a real hypersensitive nerve for Missouri fans when people downgrade that win. Either way, hey,
for the national outlook, yeah,
good, whatever. I mean, do I think that was really beating the Ohio State team that played in Ann Arbor? No, but it doesn't matter. People are fired up, so good. So, with that said, if they are in that position, then you've got people buzzing. But the thing that I want to hammer home is who, even around here, thought Missouri was going to be an 11-2 team last year. So with NIL and with the transfer portal, what you're going to see in 2024, and probably going forward unless the rules change back, a team that you thought was going to be great is going to be average or bad, and a team that you didn't see coming right now as we speak, as media days are getting ready to start up here soon, is going to have a hell of a year. Yeah. It's just the way that it's going to be, and that might sound very obvious, but I'm talking about in an extreme way. So I hope it's not Missouri that has the real. It'd be tough for it to be Missouri based on the schedule. But I mean, yeah, they could absolutely lose to A&M, Auburn, Alabama, and Oklahoma. I mean, that's all. That wouldn't. Right. I mean, that would be rough. But you go from an undefeated year heading to College Station and all hell breaking loose. But here's the thing. Could they win those games? As crazy as it sounds, the answer is yes. But I would tell you that there's going to be a program in the SEC that you didn't see coming in 2024, and there will be a program that you thought was going to have a huge year that will not live up to it. And we saw that last year. I guess some would probably say Tennessee was the team that we here on this program shorted Tennessee, and we hit it. And we were high on Missouri, but neither one of us thought 11 wins, Missouri, or 10 wins when you talk regular season. So the momentum continues with the recruiting, and it's so critical because 2007 was incredible. 2008 was a letdown. 2013 was incredible. 2014, they still went to the SEC championship, but they lost at home to Indiana. And once that happened, you knew you were probably up against it. And then they wound up losing to Georgia as well, but we're still able to get to the SEC championship. Carry the momentum over. Even if it falls off in 2025, carry the momentum over. That's what they weren't able to do in 2008. And while 2014 was a year they went to the SEC championship, I was at that game. I don't think there was a soul in the building, including Gary Pinkel, who really thought that team was going to beat that Alabama team. Right. So carry the momentum over and then continue to have people who no longer would go, well, I didn't go to school at Missouri. Why would I cheer for them? They are now going, I can't wait to get down to Columbia for a game. 10:52 in St. Louis. This is Balloon Party 101 ESPN. James Carlton, Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency, my insurance agent, 376 five-star reviews on Google when you type his name in, James Carlton, State Farm. Well, there's a reason for it. There's a constant throughout all those reviews and people talking about the service. It's one of those things. You go, well, it's an insurance agent. And I've had my parents' insurance agent handle my stuff forever, and I don't know why I would switch. Or, it's a buddy of mine. I get it. I understand it. But I'm telling you, there is a difference. And everything changed for me when I was talking with my parents, and they said, hey, you got to make sure you have the absolute best when it comes to an insurance agent, because now you have a wife and kids to take care of. It's not just about you anymore. You got to take care of your family and put them in the best hands. And that's where James Carlton comes into play. 314-961-4800 or go online at carltoninsurance.net. If your insurance costs a leg and an arm, call James Carlton, State Farm. Welcome back. Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. BK and Ferrario coming your way in a matter of moments. Jackson has his quick hit corner here.
Yeah, but the corner is spelled with a Q.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't it
Is
cool?
there a U after it?
No.
Qorner.
Bingo.
Okay, fair enough. Horton Watkins.
Quick hit corner. Adam Wainwright, right now, I think, is performing his music on the Today Show.
Yeah.
Pretty cool in front of a national audience. If you had to do something similar, what would you perform? It doesn't have to be singing or music at all. Like if you had to go out and like be like a talent show of some sort. Can't you juggle?
I can.
Yeah.
Actually. How do you know that?
I think when we've played golf before, you started juggling, and I was like, oh, there's
Must have been a pace of play issue.
another little piece of the Tim McKernan onion peeled away.
It's just so amazing. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm at Bricktops, I'll start doing it just because my net worth isn't able to hang unless I start juggling silverware.
A crisp $20 bill in it for you. If you go to the Bricktop and you just start juggling, just tennis balls.
Who's the short, bald guy in the corner juggling? I don't know. You don't have any money.
Yeah, we're going to Brio next time.
Yeah. Gosh. I don't know. What would you do? You do films.
No, I draw my 50, the map of the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can freehand.
Jackson can freehand from memory a map of the United States, and I've seen him do it.
Not just like the outline of the country, like each and every state.
That's right.
Of the continental U.S. Hawaii gets tough. What islands? And Alaska, the final frontier.
Yeah, but nobody's really worried about that.
Right.
I mean, it's
continental.
Continental, and it's outstanding.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I would do. I don't know how much, I don't think that would draw the same amount as Adam Wainwright.
Right.
Singing, waxing poetic, but.
I think you might get on Jenna and Hoda with that. I don't know if you get on the Today Show.
I'll take whatever I can get.
Okay.
We start small,
That's right.
and we build our way up.
I understand that, and I respect that.
Next thing you know, you're headlining the Grammys.
Yeah. Drawing a map of the United States. Oh, the ratings.
Yeah, Beyonce in the front row clapping like crazy.
What's up, Queen Bee?
Yeah.
What's up, Tim?
What up, Beyonce?
All right, time for us to shut it down. BK and Ferrario. We'll talk about the tricks they would perform on today's show, in addition to the weekend that was in Washington that continues with a rare 3 o'clock game today and the week ahead before the All-Star break. City coming up short 4-1.
Roman Berkey, bad back.
Yeah, that makes a tough situation even tougher. All that to come on BK and Ferrario. For Jackson Bennett Burkett, I'm Timothy Michael McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess Burkhardt, Alton Toyota.